Welcome to Nutty Buddy Sports. The Buffalo Bills versus the Kansas City Chiefs.
Welcome back to Nutty Buddy Sports. Thanks for joining us. So before I introduce our guests, I'll just ask that you please subscribe to our channel and like the video and leave a comment down below if you agree, mostly. But even if you disagree, you can leave a comment as well. With me, we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, and what a wonderful game. And I have with me for the first time my brother-in-law, Jake. Jake, how's it going?
Well, that's relative. This team that don't be spoken of has wrecked my life yet again. But other than that, life is good.
Yeah. And then Chris was threatened to come back on. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I asked my other sports chat watching the end of that game, is this what cocaine is like?
It was crazy, wasn't it? So we're going to talk about the Bills and the Chiefs, as already mentioned. So let's just get into the game and just maybe your initial thoughts on the game, maybe something you took away from it. Let's start with Jake. Jake, it's your first time on, so give us your takeaway from this game.
Well, first off, in true ESPN fashion, thank you for having me. Appreciate it, Ryan. Always good to see you. Big fan of the show, subscriber, all that good stuff. Sponsorship money incoming. That was a fantastic. I mean, from a football game perspective, what a weekend. I mean, other than the fact that I went about 0 for teams that I was rooting for, that fourth quarter of Bills Chiefs is one of the greatest ones I've seen in a long time. Josh Allen is a bad man, to quote Stephen A., and I am so excited to watch him. Absolute heartbreak that there's nothing else he could have done. I mean, he just could not have done anything else to win that game and still came up short. And I feel terrible for him because they just, I mean, rooting for the Bills, like I think a lot of the country was, soft spot for them because next to the team that I shall not mention, they're the second smallest market in the country. So I like that smaller market vibe, and great game, but just a heartbreaker in the end.
Yeah. Did you? Yeah, I was probably in the minority. I was definitely rooting for the Chiefs because my guy is Patrick Mahomes.
You have Patrick Mahomes on those sorry excuse for a fantasy team that you have.
That's fair. That's fair. Except in one of my leagues, I did win this year. But did you know that
you're in 17, you're gonna win one? So
again, another fair point. I would say that the last minute 54 seconds. Did you know they scored 25 points in the last minute and 54 seconds?
Wild.
That is crazy. Chris, what were your thoughts? Your takeaway away from the game?
Just mainly that when we were doing the playoff preview podcast or season recap podcast, I should say, and everyone said Aaron Rodgers was the MVP, and I was the only one brave enough to say correctly that Josh Allen is the MVP. Now, maybe he's not the best player. Mahomes is probably still the best player, but Josh Allen was just on absolute fire. And yeah, it is mainly just a bummer that he never touched the ball in overtime, but I'm sure we'll talk about, because I'm seeing a lot of people online complain about the overtime rules. So I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah. That's the same reason that Patrick Mahomes lost his playoff game too. He didn't touch the ball. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. Maybe they should change it at least for the playoffs, maybe not regular season, but playoffs. But yeah, I will talk about that. Yeah, this game was like two elite quarterbacks. I'm gonna say Josh Allen now for me is just elite. I was worried this year he was a little inconsistent at times, but man, the last two games he was just so good. And I actually, for a little part of me was like rooting for the Bills as well. Like I didn't want the game to end, and yeah, both those quarterbacks to me deserve to win. So,
Mahomes is more like, Josh was a little more like making like stunning plays because he was doing a lot of like, he almost getting sacked and then he ducks like 2 or 3 guys and then launches one downfield, or swing out. So he's going to get a little more hype as far as like he absolutely balled out. But let's be clear, Mahomes was on absolute fire too. It just was more of like in the framework of their offense. You know what I mean? That he was like incredible as well.
Well, that's because the Chiefs' offense is predicated on Patrick Mahomes going flame mode 99 NFL blitz all the time, which he does, which is why he's incredible. But watching Josh Allen truck a D-back, not that I want to see anybody get hurt, but when you lower your shoulder and the next guy has to take a play off, I mean, and you're a quarterback, I mean, well done, sir. You are a football player.
Yeah, he's so good. So there's a couple things maybe we should talk about. Maybe we'll talk about the overtime rule right away. Just let's get that out of the way since we talked about it already a little bit. So what do you guys think? One possession, touchdown, done, or what would you guys do differently? Would you do anything? Maybe I'll just start with Jake. Would you do anything different?
I think somebody has to make a stop to win the game. Okay. So I do like that they changed it from years ago when you kick a field goal, you win the game because you win the coin toss, you win the game. And I hate that. I don't want a game, an entire postseason, everything that everybody puts into it, the players, the fans, to come down to a coin toss. So I think they need to change it where each team gets a possession. And at the end of those possessions, if somebody's ahead, somebody wins. If it's touchdown for touchdown, field goal for field goal, I think you keep going until somebody makes a stop. That's the best way to do it. And in the regular season, side point, there should be no ties. Like, figure it out. There is a way to make a game not end in ties. I don't care if you send your two biggest guys to the 50-yard line with a war implement and figure it out, but there should be no tie. So those are my overtime thoughts.
I agree with you on ties. I would rather have, how in hockey they play the overtime and then they have like the what's it called? The shootout, right? They should do something with like field goal kickers. Just kick from the 20, take 10 yards back, and something like that until the kicker misses. Chris, what do you think about the overtime rule?
No, I 100% agree with Jake, and it probably would be more fair is if no matter what, each team touched the ball one time. I don't hate that. I do like that if you score a field goal, the game's not over with, especially because like he said, if you win the coin toss and then you get to the 35-yard line, so you have to get 40 yards and kick, you're in field goal range, game's over with. So I do like that it is a touchdown ends it. Your defense still does need to make a stop. So I don't hate it, but if it got changed to where no matter what, both teams touched it, I would be okay with that too. But I'm not like totally against how it's set up right now. I mean, it's kind of it's much better than it used to be.
I agree. It's better. I would like at least the playoffs to be changed because a game like that is just like, I agree with Jake. Like, I don't want the coin toss. Didn't you guys feel like whoever won the coin toss was going to win the game?
Right. Oh, defenses weren't stopping the other team. It just wasn't, it wasn't happening. It was
Yeah.
I will say I'm not too much of a hockey fan, but I know that hockey traditionalist fans don't like the shootout because instead of it becoming then a team game, then it becomes a skills competition is the word they throw around. So, what I'm saying is that if it was a field goal competition or something like that, it takes away the team element and then it comes down to one guy doing a trick shot sort of. So I don't know if I, would go along with that, but.
No, I agree. I think I'd rather have it than ties personally. That's where I'm at.
There's nothing good that comes from sporting and tying. That's the exact point of sporting is it's competitive. So it wins. So when you tie, why are we doing it? Why did we get out of bed? There's it's pointless.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So there's a couple other things that we'll talk about real quick too, is obviously there was the way the Bills played defense, 13 seconds left. Okay. So they went massive prevent. There was 3 timeouts left. With 13 seconds, 3 timeouts, that's still 2 chunk plays. And that's what happened. What is it like? How did it make you guys feel? What do you think about that? Did you think that was the right call? Maybe I'll start with Chris first this time.
No, with it would be different if they had, because they had all 3 timeouts, right?
Yeah, all 3.
So yeah, they like I've said. First of all, I think Romo absolutely nailed it. Jake might disagree, but I think Romo absolutely nailed it when he said you need to kick it short and make them return it. I mean, the odds of them giving up a kickoff return for a touchdown are so low. So instead of having 13 seconds, you have 8 seconds left. Maybe then they only are allowed to run 1 play. I mean, because how many seconds were left? I'm going to find out very quickly.
It went 13-8. So they got 13,
okay.
5 seconds, that Tyreek Hill play. And then at the 8 seconds, they got the Kelsey play. It left 3 seconds left on the clock.
Yep, you're right. They had 3 seconds left when they kicked the field goal. So maybe if they have to take off the 4 seconds, they don't have enough time if they make him return it. So I thought Romo nailed it. But yeah, it seemed like they were playing defense like they thought they needed to score a touchdown instead of getting the 40 yards. And I mean, it doesn't help when Tyreek Hill was on fire that whole game. He's the fastest man in the league. And obviously Kelsey is great too. But mainly, I mean, the first play was probably worse than the Kelsey play just because it was like Tyreek just running past people.
Yeah, part of me thought he was going to break it. Like he was just like, he found a little bit of a hole and you're like, he'd break it. The only thing with the squib kick that I would probably disagree on is that if they fell on top of it and kneeled it right away, you're only wasting like a second. And they had 3 seconds to kick the field goal. So they still probably would have got 2 plays off. And let's say if like it wasn't kicked properly and they get it at like the 35 instead of the 25, now you're asking them to cover even less. They have to travel less field. What about
you should be able to just expect your defense to stop them in 13 seconds in any circumstance.
Well, that's where I stand. It's like whether they squibbed it or kicked it out of bounds, it's like 13 seconds, that should have been an easy win. Jake, how do you feel about what the Bills did towards the end there?
So I'm going to clear my throat for this. I hate the prevent defense more than almost any other thing. People talk about extra points. They talk about kickoffs. They talk about all these things. I hate the prevent defense. Okay. And as the saying goes, it's just a prevent defense. It prevents the win, because we've seen that so many times, right? Especially as a team that plays in Northeast Wisconsin fan with Mike McCarthy for so many years, and Don Capers have been traumatized by this. So when do you play the prevent defense? What is the game situation if you're playing the prevent defense? You have a lead. You are winning the game. Why would you change the thing that has caused you to be winning the game by definition? So I will not understand it. I don't understand it. I never, ever, never, ever will. Because in your base defense, again, if you're playing prevent defense, that means that team is on the far side of the field, right? Meaning that they've got to cover at least 50 yards. In your normal defense, how often do you give up a 50+ yard play? It's not very often.
Yep.
I mean, percentage-wise, what is it, 2-3%? I'll take my 2 to 3% normal chance versus the amount of times we've seen, I don't know, some wonky ladder play that goes for big yardage and other in field goal range, or, a bomb down the field, or, leaving Cooper Kupp wide open. I mean, just as an example from today, I mean, just all of these things. So I don't know why they do prevent defense. I think it's the worst thing, and it costs more teams losses than anything, i.e. what the Bills did. So very against it. I hate it. And no D coordinator should ever call the prevent defense ever in any circumstance.
The only time you would call it is if, like I said, they didn't have timeouts, because then you make them catch it in the middle of the field and they can't get out of bounds. But if other team has timeouts, it's 100% counterproductive, because you're just allowing them to gain 25 yards, immediate timeout. So that would be the only time you would call it.
But even then, I mean, so go double safety, go to your dime defense. I mean, just whatever, whoever your Tyreek Hill is, take out a D-back and put a receiver there. I mean, there's 1,000 other things other than just going, okay, we're going to spot you the first 20 yards on this play. Go ahead, get 20. We don't even care. Get 20. It's fine. Yeah. And then just assume that you're going to tackle. And what do we know about D-backs in the NFL? They go to high school, they learn tackling, they go to college, they tackle. They go to the NFL and go, nah, I'm not going to tackle anymore, right? So you're asking the guys that don't tackle in the NFL to tackle after they've gotten 20 yards and had a steam. I mean, it's asinine to me. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I'm with you. I think it like often, I don't know. I'm with you, but I'm like also like situational. I feel like if they didn't have any timeouts, the safe play would be to do a sort of prevent, but like at the same time, it's like with someone like Tyreek Hill, though, you just never know. That's the guy I'd be most worried about doing even a prevent. But I just think, especially in the situation the Bills were in, having those 3 timeouts, that was reaching. That was reaching. That was bad.
Well,
yeah.
And just real quick, Tyreek Hill, yes, threat, scary, like he's Bo Jackson in the old, NES NFL game. I mean, that's what he is. But again, prevent, you're spreading the field open. Yeah. What's the last thing in the world you want to give a speedster?
Yeah.
Open field.
Right.
So again, I don't like it.
Yeah. I thought that was bad. I thought we were going to come on today, honestly, and talk about how Andy Reid blew that third and 1 call when the tight end, I don't even think it was Kelsey. It was 81, right? 81 shift over.
Bell, I think.
Right. And they did like that pitch play on 3rd and 1. I'm like, how are you taking the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands here in the red zone? That's ridiculous. But man, I just couldn't believe it. The Tyreek, across the field catches it, ran it for 70-yard touchdown. I just was like, how did that happen? What is that supposed to? And then I don't know if I text the guys. I'm like, there's too much time. It was bad. Yeah. Let's see what else. So not Manti. Tyrann was out. Matthews. Tyrann Matthew.
Yeah, Honey Badger.
That looked like it hurt a lot. That team.
Big time.
What's his name? Davis had 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
And 200 yards.
Yeah. Ridiculous. I don't know, guys. I don't know what else to say about this game. It all came down to that last 5 minutes of the game, into overtime and stuff like that. Patrick Mahomes, I'll just read a couple stats. You guys can say whatever you want. Patrick Mahomes was 33 for 44, 378 yards, 3 touchdowns. He had 69 on the ground, including a touchdown. And then Allen, 27-37 for 329, 4 touchdowns. And he also had 68 yards rushing on the ground. So both these elite quarterbacks showed up today. Just great. I think MVP on both teams. Anything else, guys, to add to this game? Anything? I can't. Everything I was thinking about through the entire game, I was thinking of points to bring up, and then the last McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire real quick has really changed that offense. Yeah. They're running
that's
hard.
What I was just going to say.
Okay. Yeah. Well, did you want to continue on that, or is that the exact words?
No, just that's what I mean, obviously Mahomes was doing his thing in the first half, but that really put them over the edge. I'm kind of been down on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but he had a really nice game. Obviously Mahomes was making things happen with his legs too. Really nice scrambles, but actually McKinnon, I hyped up McKinnon last week. He had 10 carries for 24 yards. So he had a nice, he had 54 yards receiving. So he did pretty well from that end, but impressive runs from Helaire and Mahomes. Hardman had the end around, I think, for a long touchdown. So
that was actually, I hated it, but that was well done.
Yeah. Maybe Andy fell in love with the gimmick. After that worked successfully, he's like, oh, we can keep doing these the rest of the game. And it's like, he got lucky with that one. But yeah, the running game impressed me. The Josh Allen, obviously we love the one where he trucked the DB. But overall, Singletary regressed into being useless. And there were a couple, on that last drive. My theory, I texted you guys, I think they were trying to score very slowly. And then obviously it turned into just a lightning quick shootout. But I didn't love a lot of like the design Allen runs toward the end of the game. Those were kind of wasted plays, in my opinion. So
Well, and desperate was the word that I used. Okay, when you have in the National Football League, when you have a designed called quarterback sweep, I don't like it. You're getting desperate. Okay, in the National Football League, quarterbacks, you don't design them to get tackled, right? That's just that's not great. And I feel like you're really reaching if that's the guy who you have to trust the ball to. To Chris's point, Singletary became a non-factor, so Josh Allen was having to be the running back and the quarterback. So yeah, I do not like it when you have designed runs to that level. Like an RPO is one thing, or like, maybe just a quick option kind of sort of thing for on a 3rd and 2. But a designed quarterback sweep with the whole offensive line pulling, that's not great. That's not great game planning, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the way Josh Allen was throwing the ball, I didn't feel like there was a need for it. He was finding holes all over the secondary, so I didn't understand. Like there was I mean, it didn't end up hurting them in the long run, but there was like a 3rd and 6 where they ran it and they only got 2 yards in 4th and 4. I think they ended up picking up the 4th down anyway, but it was why are we doing that on 3rd and 6 when Josh Allen is throwing all over the field? And I think it goes to Chris's point. Basically, they were just trying to kill time. And it really, when you're focused too much on that, you're going to kind of,
right. And as Chris pointed out, scoring too fast does need to be secondary to scoring in the first place.
Right. Exactly.
Take the score. If it's a little too fast, okay, we can try it again maybe. But yeah, the scoring too fast thing is needs to be secondary to actually getting the points at all.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%.
So I think one thing I do want to mention real quick, Ryan, is the fact that we're having the conversation that we're having, that the Bills were in it, that the Bills pushed the Chiefs to their limits. I think that's pretty cool. McDermott, I really like the way that he coached to start off with. I mean, going for it on 4th and 2, and then scoring a touchdown on what was that 4th and whatever it was, 4th and 1? I don't know, 4th and goal, and they scored a touchdown. I think that's awesome. That is what it takes to win championships. So I think the Bills can, unfortunately, they lost the game, but boy, they can return to Buffalo. And, as they're getting off the plane later tonight, their fans, they should be high-fiving. They left nothing on that field. They have really, in my mind, nothing to prove. I mean, Josh Allen played amazing. I think they called a pretty good game, the prevent defense thing aside, other than that. So I think the fact that the Bills took the Chiefs into overtime and really probably should have won that game, you could argue that, I think it's pretty incredible. So, I mean, well done, Bills fans and team and everything.
Yeah, to me, this was the Super Bowl. I think whoever came out of this game was going to win the Super Bowl. I already said that. I said, no matter who won this game, I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. So now I think the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. I would agree 100% with you, Jake. I think the Bills have nothing to prove, although I think Bill fans and Bills won't feel that way. Like they'll be like, again, we lose.
4 consecutive Super Bowl losses.
Yeah.
So still be in some of the fans that were
not the time to bring it up, Jake. Not the time to bring it up. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yes. No. So that's what I was going to ask. If we're done with the game, are we good with the game?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have much else.
I don't think. I don't disagree about McDermott being aggressive at the start of the game, but he should have overridden Leslie Frazier. If whoever's making the defensive play calls, he should have overridden that on the last drive. And I mean, overtime they weren't maybe stopping them anyways, but
I don't think so.
It was pretty easy down the field.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think either defense was going to stop the other quarterback at that point.
Whoever wins that coin toss wins.
Yeah. So let's then go on to this point. Like just two things. Same kind of sort of questions I asked my brother after we talked about the Bucks and the Rams. Where do you see the Bills? What do you see them doing this offseason? I can't wait to ask Avery this because he's the Bills fan. But just in your guys' mind, what do you think the Bills should do this offseason if they had to do anything?
I've got some inside texts on this one, so you need to let Chris go first on this.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
This is
No, starting running back. They need someone much better than Singletary, or at least much more consistent. Like Josh said, Jake, take the load off Allen when it comes to like accumulating running yards, because Zach Moss is horrible. So that will like take them to the next level. Just obviously the passing game is the strength of their offense. Davis, if he might have stepped up, he might be like a top. I mean, not too many guys can have 200 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he might be, obviously Diggs is their number one receiver, but Davis might be like a 1A type of a guy. Beasley had some horrible drops on the last drive. He's a clown. I mean, he's fairly good at what he does, but he's kind of trending downwards.
I'm surprised they didn't have McKenzie more involved, because he had, I think, wasn't last week, he had himself a game too.
Yeah.
Like,
yes,
so I mean, like,
McKenzie's better than Beasley.
Yeah, their wide receiving core, I feel like, is set. Yeah, I would agree with you, Chris. I'll let Jake go in a second here, but running, work on your running game. Take pressure off of Josh Allen, because eventually the older he gets and the more hits he takes, you're risking injury. And I think I think if he has shown he is good enough to be a passer in this league. So I'm with you. Fix that run game. And maybe another edge rusher, because Mahomes, that's the other thing I was going to say about the game. Like, during the end, maybe it's because the defenses were so gassed by the end of the game. Like, there was no pass rush on either quarterback, basically. So maybe another pass rusher for both teams, by the way. Jake, go ahead. Give us your inside source.
So to your guys' point, that I think the Rams are a little scary. So I don't know if I quite agree with this was the Super Bowl, but kind of going off of that is, being that they took the Super Bowl to overtime, there's not a lot that needs fixing. Yes, the run game, you got to take a little off. Again, back to you can't call a play of, yes, we want Josh Allen to run a sweep. Okay.
And get obliterated.
Yeah.
Right. So that by definition means you need to work on the run game a little bit. But other than that, I mean, you were there, they were in it. They took it to overtime. You know, they're a coin toss away from going to the championship and probably the Super Bowl and potentially winning the Super Bowl. So there's not really a lot that they have to do. I think even just Josh Allen having another year of experience and learning and getting better, I think that's going to help them that much next year. So your defense is stout. I mean, number one defense in the NFL at the end of the regular season, I believe. So try and get maybe something that's got a little sauce to it on the offense. Maybe an upgraded tight end, maybe. Not that Knox was bad, but that could potentially be a spot. And once you've got that, man, you're good to go, because you were there. I mean, they were right there. So
yeah, I think White coming back is going to help too, right? Because he was out all year. Yeah, their corner. So that'll help. Isn't it awesome that we get these two quarterbacks in the AFC for the next 10 years?
Yeah.
It's like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady again. Why do they have to be in the same conference every single time? Why couldn't they be in separate conferences? I'm just asking for a friend. Okay, let's last thing. I'll just real quick, your feelings, because I don't know if either one of you will join me on my other two podcasts this week where we recap and then predict the next week. But early thoughts, how you feeling about the Bengals going up into Arrowhead? How do you feel about that, Jake? Do you think it's the Chiefs winning that game against the Bengals?
I am. So my official personal rooting team for the postseason is the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay. They haven't been relevant in forever. I feel bad for the fans. I want to see the Bengals do well. I like Joe Burrow. I think he's entertaining. I think he's a good quarterback. But if you take a snowball and you go to Ecuador, there's your chances of the Bengals beating the Chiefs, I think. I hate to say that, but that is my prediction. So this was an incredible weekend of football. The games were close. Was it 12 points between all of the games cumulative? Was that the win margin?
Yeah. It was 9, and then they scored a touchdown in overtime, so it'd be 15.
Okay. So very tight games. 3 of the games were last second field goals by the visiting teams. I mean, great football. Next weekend, I don't see the football being as good.
I'm with you. I just think that we were
Yeah.
spoiled this weekend. Next weekend is going to be rough. What do you think, Chris? I know you were nodding, but
No, I agree. I said on Monday night, you pumped up the Chiefs offense, and what I said was because I'm blanking right now. Who did they beat last weekend? Oh, I had the Steelers.
Steelers.
I said let's ease up on that until on the Chiefs firing on all cylinders until they've done it against like a really great defense, because the Steelers have a solid defense, not on the Bills level. They put up 42 points on, the top 5 defense in the league, maybe top 3, maybe top. I will say now the Chiefs are firing on all cylinders. They're better than, I know Cincinnati beat them at home. The Chiefs are a better team right now than the team that lost at Cincinnati. They're going to be playing at home. All the momentum at this game. I don't think Cincy keeps it close. As much as I like Cincinnati, as much as I want Cincinnati to win, Burrow, still a second-year player. He's been playing very good. They're just not on the Chiefs level.
Yeah. I'm with you both. I'm continuing on with the Chiefs. I picked them all year. This is a tease. A spoiler alert, I guess. I am picking them to win Wednesday when we do our prediction podcast. But and if I'm right, I am going to take my preseason prediction on that show that we did, and I am going to plaster it all over every podcast. And every 10 minutes, I'm just going to randomly play it. So that's my.
So you never lost faith in them all season?
The Chiefs?
Mm-hmm.
No, well, here's why I didn't. But it was like this. I feel like it was still stupid. It was still kind of like stupid for me. I picked them every single week. And the reason why I didn't is like, if they can just get their turnovers under control, because that was the thing that kept making them lose, like keeping the other teams in the games. I'm like, get your turnovers under control. Why are the Chiefs turning the ball over? But then they like spinned it into actually like their defense started getting good. And then they stopped turning the ball over. And it was like, okay, they got it figured out then. So, yeah.
I just thought the Super Bowl, it was the very sloppy play at the start of the year. And I know it's not like maybe a real thing, but it's like the Super Bowl loss hangover, which happens to so many teams. And it was like, well, it's happening to the Chiefs,
It did look like that, to be fair. It did look like that. So anyway, are we good, guys?
We're good. But I'm going to make one note there.
Me too.
Mr. Williams, and that is, so proper football etiquette is when your team is no longer relevant and in the playoffs. You notice I'm not wearing that team's, I almost said it, that team's sportswear. Mr. Huss down here is not wearing that team's sportswear. But yet you have a Lions shirt on, and they haven't been relevant in your life, my life.
Can I say, I'll tell you why. Because the off season is the Lions season.
You got that right.
That's right.
Every day is the off season.
That's right. That's right. So our year started when the season ended. That's why.
That's good.
We feed on that hope. We feed on that hope that never comes our way. Well, last thought for you, Chris.
Yes, I just wanted to be on the record because I've said my theories on past episodes. Josh Allen, Brett Favre 2.0, that can run and truck people. This was Josh Allen's 4th starting season, which correlates to Brett Favre's 1995 MVP year. Now, he's not going to win it unfairly. They're going to give it to Rodgers unfairly. DJ said, I'm going to quote DJ here. He said, if Rodgers gets MVP, he better drive it to Josh Allen's house and set it on his pedestal, which is great. Anyways, my point is, next year, Josh Allen, season 5, Brett Favre, season 5, 1996, Packers won the Super Bowl. It's my stone cold lock. I have not been wrong on Josh Allen equals Brett Favre yet. Bills win the Super Bowl next season. Book it, stamp it. It's going to happen. Second of all, Wisconsin, basketball state. Marquette beat top 20 Xavier for their 6th straight win. It's all basketball all the time from now on.
Okay, that sounds great. Just real quick, Brett Favre, did he have to play? I can't remember. Did he have to play someone like Patrick Mahomes every year to get to the Super Bowl?
He had to beat the Cowboys and he lost every time.
Yeah. And then they got
And he had
old.
to beat the 49ers. He had to beat Steve
the
Young.
Niners, and here we are talking about the Niners.
Yeah,
we'll
he
save
beat
that
Steve
for
Young.
tomorrow, but
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that just a little bit of a tease. Jake is a Packer fan. I'll let you explain why you are next episode tomorrow. And he will be joining us tomorrow when we recap the game. So he'll give you all the good thoughts about his feelings on the Green Bay Packers tomorrow. So
they're not good, but they are thoughts and feelings. I will promise you that.
and hopefully entertaining. Okay, are we good then, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thanks so much, guys, for joining me. Thanks, everybody, for watching and listening. Subscribe again, like the channel. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram at nuttybuddy_sports. And yeah, that's all I got for you today. And you can listen to the podcast anytime. And I think some you can subscribe to, so do that as well. And leave a rating and review on those podcasts, and only positive ones, because why not? Because I'm a nice guy sometimes. Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys, for listening. I hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you. Well, hopefully you enjoyed our instant reaction about the game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. What do you guys think of the game? How did you feel about the two quarterbacks, Mahomes and Allen? Leave it in the comments below. If you want to listen to more of the podcast, the links will be down below, including instant reactions to the games on Saturday. Thanks very much for listening, and we'll talk to you guys soon.